Pumping the brakes on divorce or go ahead and finalize this separation? I don't know what to do. Context. Both roughly 40 years old, 2 kids elementary age, housed in the suburbs, typical suburban family. About 6 months ago, my wife came to me and said, I want a divorce. No chance of reconciliation, no doubt in her mind. But peaceful, and I'll be fair, it was peaceful, it was respectful. There was no infidelity, there wasn't even much tension or drama to it. To be blunt, I think we've both been unhappy a long time. Long list of, you don't do this, countered by, well, you don't do that. We both contributed to the problems. It just wasn't working. So she came up with a plan and I agreed to it. Told our friends and family what's happening, including our kids. Totally embarrassing and humiliating to go through that. Sold the old house and moved to an apartment, while she bought a more modest home she could afford. We settled on a parenting/custody arrangement and child support admin. No lawyers, all mediated, all relatively peaceful. I have the kids about a third of the time, mostly weekends, because I work full-time in an office while she works part-time from home and has unlimited flexibility. All of this has pretty much nuked my life. I feel shame around everyone I know, like it's a reflection on me and what I didn't do right. I sold a house I loved, in a neighborhood I loved, with neighbors I loved and hung out with all the time. I radically downsized my life in a moving process, trashed tons of old memorabilia and collectibles, some of which I regret. But knowing I would move to an apartment, I didn't feel like I could or should take much with me. I was sad to let go of so much along the way. But I've built a new, clean, simple lifestyle and I really like where I am now. The changes to her life? Not so great. Single mom and she's got custody 2/3 of the time because of her job situation. I pay fairly healthy child support payments because I was the breadwinner, but it still sets her up for tight finances. She's frustrated with how much work the kids are. I think she forgets that I did all the cooking. She barely knows how. A lot of the housework, and was the main financial provider. She has very little free time now. And her place is a mess, still living out of boxes and suitcases. She's also very angry that I've moved on cleanly and simply and resettled so quickly. And now she wants to work on things, see if we can reconcile. We have the draft of the final separation agreement. We just haven't signed it yet. The state we live in requires one of those live apart and wait 12 months things before a divorce can be final. On the one hand, that's my wife, the mother of my children. Of course I still love her, but I also acknowledge the old problems haven't been addressed at all. I see no evidence things have changed, only an acknowledgement that she wants to. But how does that even work when I'm living apart and we spend no time together? But in fairness, she didn't cross any boundaries like cheating or spending a ton of stupid money. She didn't trash me behind my back. All that to say, no red lines were crossed for me. On the other hand, a life I enjoyed has been nuked. I've moved away from a place I loved and let go of things I didn't want to. Shouldn't have had to. She created this mess entirely because she skipped over the part where you can get marriage counseling and moved straight on to giving up on us. She had some trauma during COVID and how that impacted her life, but our marriage was outside of that. I think she projected a lot of non-related problems in her life into the marriage. She is asked to go to counseling and kinda started to get into some of the things we could work on. But she seems to gloss over the parts where she's nuked a life I enjoyed. Acts like I can just move into her new place and it's no big deal. But let's definitely focus on how we both got us into this mess. I just have a hard time accepting that premise. We both made our marriage less than ideal, but only one of us totally ruined our situation. We were just about to sign the final separation paperwork. I'm not sure if I still should. Feels like I'm slamming a door in her face when I'm open to counseling. Yet at the same time, if we can't work things out, it feels like we're at the clock and everything by not signing. And my confidence is low because I still don't think she's accepting how much she's escalated the situation by handling this so poorly. Sorry for length. Appreciate the sanity check. I appreciate perspectives that challenge me to think about things differently, so fire away. Now for the top advice. Sign it and be done. She doesn't want you. She just doesn't like how much harder her life is without you there to pick up the slack for her. She's been selfish throughout the entire thing. Only thinking about herself, what she wants, what she's had to deal with since the separation she asked for. She has done all of the taking and none of the giving or trying. This isn't a relationship worth trying to save because she doesn't care about anyone but herself. She's been selfish throughout the entire thing. Totally fair and accurate statement. But it is selfish of me to not consider that perhaps she can change, improve, get better, or that there are significant impacts to my children. Those kids are my sacred responsibility in life. Sure, my marriage wasn't perfect, but it also wasn't hostile or violent, and my kids had it great. I don't want to give them a fake life, but I struggle to see how this doesn't hurt my relationship with them. I see them so much less. Yet at the same time, I see no path to keeping my job and doing more than I am. Catch-22. From what I can read, Opie, be very careful. If you do want to reconcile, make sure it's a two people's effort. She only realized what she lost once she was alone and pretty much broke. I'm not saying she only wants you for that, but I think it plays a role. Couples counseling seems like a great idea to resolve the problems you guys have, and if you do end up reconciling, maybe make her compromise so you don't do everything around house. Good luck, Opie. She only realized what she lost once she was alone and pretty much broke. Does it make me a bad person that I want her to live in this reality for more than the month that has passed? I simultaneously worry that the longer it goes on, the more she'll build resentment and slash or move on. Then again, wake-up calls are needed. I'm enjoying my version of life a lot. Also, problematic in its own way. I think that the last two sentences are the ones that would give me pause. It sounds like you are kind of happier now that you are apart. The biggest regrets I've seen in your post aren't not being with her, but selling your house and downsizing. You seem almost happier to be living on your own. Marital counseling is great and all, but it seems like the ship has almost sailed. Do you have a signed separation agreement? If the agreement is final and enforceable, it may make sense to give the counseling a shot before finalizing the divorce, but you don't want to be in a worse position for having tried to work things out. Drafted but unsigned, and thus the separation clock hasn't started, and it's entirely unenforceable. That's part of why I do want to sign it. Protect myself, pen to paper on commitments. Can't walk it back or change it if counseling doesn't work. Next story is titled, My wife locked me out of the house on our anniversary night because she didn't like the gift I brought for her. 4 days ago was mine, male 30, and my wife's, female 27, third wedding anniversary. She loves jewelry, and every year I'd bring her jewelry. But this year I've been dealing with debts and spent all my money to fix my car that was broken for 4 months. I didn't buy her jewelry this year, but I did buy her something that I thought she'd find nice, which is a vase that cost me about $65. We were having a small celebration on dinner. I got home in the evening and found her setting up dinner table with candles and flowers. She was dressed nicely, while I was just wearing my work clothes, which she found okay-ish. After dinner, she gave me a gift which was a $45 shoes. I handed her the gift I got her, and a smile quickly disappeared from her face. She asked why I didn't get her a piece of jewelry, and I said I didn't have enough money to buy a decent piece and this stuff is expensive. She got upset, saying I always get her jewelry, but I explained money was tight and car needed fixing. She remained upset for a while, then went back to normal. Later, she asked if I could take the trash out, and I agreed. I placed a trash bag outside, then was headed back inside, but the door was locked. I kept moving the doorknob, but it was obviously locked, which got me hella confused. I didn't have a copy of the key on me, so I called my wife to let her know I was outside and the door was somehow locked, but she hung up. Then showed up from the window and shouted that I should stay outside after I made her an afterthought, and prioritize my car over her and getting her a vase. I was stunned. I asked if she deliberately locked the door, and she said yes, to teach you a lesson. I told her to quit messing around and open the door, but she refused, saying that she made dinner, set up romantic atmosphere, dressed nicely for me, and made effort for our wedding anniversary. But I didn't do half of the things she's done and didn't get her the gift she wanted. So for that, I should spend a night somewhere else. I lashed out and called her petty to lock me out of my own house over a piece of jewelry. She told me that I should get a hotel room and go F myself, and I angrily responded that I'd gladly do so. But I ended up sleeping in the car since the garage was locked as well. The next day, she complained about how I wronged her, acted rudely by lashing out and wanted an apology, but I haven't apologized. Now she's cold shouldering me. Wow. Sometimes I think my marriage is awful. And then I come here and then I'm like, meh, I'm fine. Yep, makes me appreciate what I have when I see what some people put up with. I kinda use this sub the same way. Love providing advice, but I often think, as horrible as things get for me sometimes, at least I'm not that guy/girl. Now download some generic divorce documents off the internet and paper-mache the vase in them. And put them in a jewelry gift box. Say, "Sorry, honey, I was so stupid. Thank you for teaching me that lesson. I went and got you the gift you truly deserve." The entitlement is strong in this one. I predict you won't make it to your 4th anniversary. They will, because Opie doesn't appear to have a spine. This crap shouldn't be put up with by anyone. She'll continue to whip him into submission for the next 10 years until she sucks him dry of every ounce of his humanity. I hope you return the vase. Return the vase? Oof. Should be asking if can he return the wife instead. It's obviously an overreaction on her part, but we only have a side of the story. A lot of Reddit is, "OMG, look what my partner did. That was way over the top. So ridiculous, right?" When realistically, people tend to lash out in over-the-top ways when they've been provoked. Maybe that's not the case here. Maybe Opie's a perfect husband, but it's pretty awful to have your wife set everything up for the anniversary, make dinner, get dressed up for you, and then you get her a vase. A vase isn't for her, it's for the house. There's cheaper, decent quality jewelry you can get for $60, or shoes, or anything else really. I'd be pretty pissed if my significant other gave me furniture as an anniversary gift too. Is there nothing else you know about your wife besides she likes jewelry? No hobbies, collectibles, guilty pleasures? Honestly, I can hardly think of a crappier gift than a damn vase unless she specifically collects them or something. It's like some generic woman gift. You could get her a gift certificate for a massage or a spa day. Did you get her flowers or a card? Why did she do 90% of the work and you showed up with a vase? I get that money is a hard thing to work around, but you can make it work. If you truly cared and felt terrible about the lack of money, a heartfelt card can mean a lot. I genuinely hope you at least gave her that. Now for the last story. Am I making a mistake or did I outgrow my husband? I, 33 female, met my 36 male husband when I was 20 and he was 23. Over the past years, I finished school, become reasonably successful in my career, and identified my goals. During the same time, he has been in retail management and slowly getting promoted within his company at a store level. He has goals for promotion, but hasn't been interested in anything more, either professionally or personally. He is kind and supportive, but he does not understand what I do, does not ask me about my day, finds it hard to have deeper conversations about our future, and isn't interested in seeking higher education because he doesn't know what to do, but hasn't attempted to research or explore his options. Over the past few years, I've found myself having to remind him of small things. Some things consistent with ADHD, others not, like basic household chores, following through with the things he offered to do, or helping our families with the things he promised. When I try to have conversations in our future or his goals, it's vague and I have to pull information from him. When we first met, his kindness and flexible demeanor were positive attributes, but now I feel like I have to be the one to guide our future without any input from my partner. The decision fatigue from work makes this overwhelming, and honestly, not what I need anymore. All of this has been getting to me, and I feel more like his mother than his spouse. We spoke about what I need, conversations, household support, and feeling like I have grown and evolved into a different version of myself that I really like, and he only stated that he thought I was happy and feels blindsided. I asked him to show me he is willing and capable of growth, but I'm already questioning his ability for sustained change. I don't know what to do, other than admit I haven't been happy the last few years and I want out. Am I being too harsh? Or am I just realizing that I've grown into a different person in the 13 years we've been together, while my husband has remained all but the same? Now for the top advice. I feel more like his mother than his spouse. That's a big issue, and a huge reason people end up divorcing their partners. If you think it is worth giving your relationship a final chance, you could try suggesting couples counseling. But sometimes people just grow in ways that are mutually incompatible, and that's okay too. It sounds like you have already checked out of the marriage, and there's nothing wrong with that. Guy in a relationship makes you happy every day, probably enabling you to be the best you can be in your career. And once you get to a good level of success, you see him as beneath you. Why do you care if he goes back to school for higher education? Doesn't seem like you even know what he would go for. His current career path is taking him toward corporate retail, and that's a decent path with good money. I guess a business degree would help with that. Wonder how much time he would have for you during a full-time job and degree. Does your idea for a relationship look like two people constantly moving up in their career at the same pace? Doesn't sound like you have much time for each other. Maybe your idea is that the man carries the woman financially, and you're disappointed that you make more. Don't even know if you do actually. Maybe you just don't like his job. You didn't outgrow him. You grew an insufferable ego. I think it might go beyond this. Your post resonates a lot with me. I had a boyfriend in high school and a bit after who was very nice. He was always proud of me. I'm going to college, I just got a new job, I'm so smart. He would really build me up, but he never did anything to improve himself. He was content with where he was in life, but proud of me for doing better. He would often say I was out of his league, which was when I had to encourage him and help his self-confidence. He would joke about how I'm going to be the breadwinner. He was perfectly happy already, while I was still striving to do better. I was ambitious and driven. He was happy living in his mom's house. He seemed happy I would be the breadwinner so he wouldn't have to work so hard. I decided that might be a fundamental incompatibility and ended the relationship. From what I hear, he found a girlfriend a few months later. They're married. They have a toddler, they live in her mom's basement, they have 2 pretty nice vehicles, a muscle car and a pickup truck, both pricey models. Knowing the jobs they have, their household income is probably half of my individual income. I'm married. Husband and I are happily child-free. Live in our own condo, plus have a progress into a down payment. Single vehicle between the 2 of us that is nice quality and has many features, but is not flashy. We have both been promoted at work every 1 to 2 years, and our income reflects that. I know I come off as a braggart, and I'm sorry for that. But my point is that my ex is very happy with his life, and I'm very happy with mine. They're diametrically opposed though. I wish I could be happy with what I have the way he is, but I'm not. And that has driven me to improve myself constantly. I'm happier for it, and I'm very proud of what I have accomplished. But I wouldn't have been happy if I had tried to do this with him. I would have felt like I was dragging a dead weight, and he would be unfulfilled that I never want to bear children and stop working so hard to spend quality time with him and a kid. We wanted different things. Our ideal life looked very different, even if he said what I wanted to hear to avoid losing me.
Am I the a-hole for not sharing life insurance money with dead husband's mom? This is really hard for me to talk about and go down memory lane, but here goes. I, 37 female, received life insurance money after my husband unalived himself. It was a substantial amount of money. Backstory. Before his death, we had a discussion of what we wanted to happen after our deaths. In hindsight, this should have set off a red flag. But if you were in the military, you know this kind of talk wasn't foreign. We have signed power of attorneys before to each other before we deployed. We also have to update every year who we want our life insurance policy to go to. I'm still trying to make peace with everything, but I'm struggling more than usual lately. I came home after work one day and found our bedroom door locked with our dogs in there crying. I kept knocking and he wouldn't answer the door. I broke open the door and went in and saw what I can't ever unsee. I still see it in my dreams most nights. He always seemed like the same happy person I met 13 years before, so I didn't see or notice any signs. After, everything was a blur for a while. Thankfully, I've had some solid people there to help me. I lost 20 pounds in about a month from not eating. I wouldn't shower. I don't remember much around that time except everything hurt and I wanted to unalive myself too. I just kind of checked out. I know I'm everywhere with this story. I'm trying to keep my thoughts straight through this, but it's hard. I'm sorry. So, when we talked about what we'd want to happen after we died, he said if he goes first, can I help take care of his family? I said absolutely, because I loved them and they made me feel like family. Especially his mom. She was like the mom I've never had. So you could imagine the pain she added on to me when she went around and told everyone I unalived him. I was getting harassed by his family of what happened. I finally snapped later and yelled, "Do you want to know what happened that day? Well, so do I." But all I was met with was, insert scene here. I know I shouldn't have, but I went into graphic detail to shut them up. I never got any answers myself, and they were making it worse, especially my mother-in-law. Law enforcement didn't make it easy either. I got pulled in for questioning twice, and I cooperated both times, but it didn't help that I had to keep giving so many of them a play-by-play of what I saw. I know they were doing their job though. So, after my mother-in-law ran a smear campaign on me, she asked if I got any life insurance money. I didn't even answer her. All she did was use my husband as an ATM when he was alive, and I started to notice probably about a month before he passed. My husband hid from me that he was giving her money all the time. We had a joint account we put money for all our bills and household expenses in, but whatever was left over of his and my paycheck, we did whatever we wanted with it. My father-in-law and mother-in-law are divorced. She cheated on him and got remarried 2 months after their divorce was final. I did give my father-in-law money because he was the only one that still stood by my side and tried to help protect me as much as he could from her and her side of the family. He wasn't even aware that I got any money until after I gave him a substantial amount. He tried giving it back, but I refused. I get it. She's a grieving mother trying to find answers and needs to blame someone, but she caused me so much pain that I don't want to help her at all. Honestly, I don't know how I'd react if I were in her shoes, but I'd like to think I wouldn't act like she did. She was also not the one in my shoes that has to push through and set up the funeral arrangements, pay off his debts, and live in the same house with all those memories and surrounded by all his things. I didn't throw away his toothbrush or sleep in our bedroom for almost a year. I blocked her a long time ago, but should I reach out to her to give her a cut of the money and then cut all ties again, or should I just keep her blocked? I'm afraid to open that wound again, but I want to know if I'm doing the right thing. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You don't owe her anything at this point. She turned it ugly. She faffoed. Blaming you for your husband's death is beyond the pale, especially when you are the one who found him. Sometimes we never know what demons another person is facing, as they hide it so well from everyone. If you can, get therapy to help you with the PTSD of this whole ordeal. She deserves nothing from you. Please take care of yourself and your dogs, as they are probably traumatized as well. I wish you well in your journey. The mom is mad her ATM is gone. Bingo. She's probably so pissed she didn't get any cash from him, or things like alimony from the father-in-law, so she's trying to manipulate more cash any way she could. Not the a-hole. Keep her blocked. What do you have to gain by unblocking her and giving her money? If your husband wanted her to have it, he could have her in his will, but he didn't. Take that insurance money and get yourself some professional help. OP should also move out too, for her mental well-being. I've been thinking about it. I want to move home closer to my family, but for some reason it's hard for me to let go. Sometimes it feels like it's all I have left with him. Your husband will always be with you. He wouldn't want you unhappy as well. Edit. Thank you guys for responding. It definitely helped me. I'm in tears. I didn't know so many people I've never met could care. I was starting to think I was being selfish. I did pay off the house and our vehicles. I gave some money to his dad, and what's left has been sitting in my bank account that I haven't touched. Some of you said that I could possibly donate, and I think that's a great idea. I also still talk to my father-in-law. He still has not asked for anything else, just for me to visit every once in a while. Also, any service member reading this thinking, well, at least my family will get something when I'm gone, is not the right answer. I would gladly give that money back if I could save him, and I'm sure your loved ones will too. Please do not do this to your loved ones. This includes the brothers and sisters you made in the military. Don't hurt them, please. Oh, I forgot to add this. The cherry on top with mother-in-law. She tried to take my dogs, but the guy I worked with that was watching them told her to get bent. They are happy and healthy, and I spend a lot of my time outside with them. Next story. Am I the a-hole for leaving my sister-in-law's house after she invited me over to not be alone, but just wanted free childcare? I, 25 female, had to put my cat down unexpectedly, and it has completely shattered me. He wasn't just a pet, he was my best friend, my emotional support, my companion through everything. I've had him since I was a teenager, and I loved him more than I can explain. Making the decision to let him go was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I held him in my arms at the vet while he passed, and I genuinely don't know how I made it home after. I cried all night. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I took the next day off work because I couldn't even function. I was in absolute pieces. That day, my sister-in-law called and said she didn't want me to be alone and invited me to come over. I was hesitant, but also grateful that someone seemed to care. I thought I'd be able to just sit quietly, cry a little, maybe talk about him if I needed to, basically just exist around someone so I wasn't drowning by myself. But the moment I got there, it was clear that not being alone actually meant helping her with her kids. We immediately left to pick them up from school. Her son didn't want to get off the jungle gym, and when I just stood there, sister-in-law got annoyed that I wasn't physically removing him, even though I could barely stand upright without crying. Back at her place, she told her son I would help him with homework while she made dinner. I tried to gently bring up my cat once or twice. I honestly just needed to talk about him, and each time she cut me off with, "You're just having a moment," or said we didn't need to dwell, I felt completely dismissed. Then her son needed help in the bathroom, and she asked me to do it. I don't know if she realized, but I'd been crying on and off the entire time I was there. I hadn't been able to think straight since yesterday. I wasn't even sure why I agreed to come, and now I was being asked to play babysitter while grieving the most traumatic loss I've ever experienced. At that point, I just stood up and left. I didn't say much. I didn't trust myself not to sob or scream. I just got in my car and went home. Later, she texted me saying I upset her kids by storming out, and that she was trying to help me take my mind off things. But I don't think she ever actually saw how much pain I was in. Your sister-in-law seems like she spent some time perfecting her manipulation craft, like she was really smooth about the whole thing. I liked the part where she pretended that her kids were upset by you leaving. What kind of monster upsets an innocent child? How could you do that? I'm being very sarcastic here. Sorry, she sounds awful, and I'm sorry about your cat. My dog is 17, and I've been telling myself that love means doing what we have to when the time comes. Even thinking about it hurts. I can't imagine having to process all that you are when it was so sudden and unexpected. I'm so sorry for the loss of your furry soulmate. Not the a-hole. She is a real a-hole and an entitled one at that. Losing my service dog a year ago was incredibly traumatic for many reasons. I had a caregiver at the time who knew how much Odin meant to me. And when I called to tell her that it happened, she immediately said that she was coming over to be with me during this time, and that she would even spend the night. Truthfully, I didn't even really want the company. I told her that, but she insisted. Cut to some drama that happened later in the week, and she tells me that she is claiming the hours she spent with me as hours that she worked to get out of coming in a day that I actually needed her. That was a huge slap in the face to me because, like you, I genuinely thought she was doing this out of the kindness of her heart and whatever. But it wasn't that. Take care of yourself. I would have told her that is fraud because she wasn't working and you had told her not to come over. Next story. Am I the a-hole for planning on getting a sibling tattoo with just my full sister and telling dad it's none of his business? I, 19 male, grew up in a blended family. Me and my sister, 17 female, have the same mom and dad. After our parents' divorce, dad remarried and blended us with his wife and her kids. 16, 15, and 13 are their current ages. Then my dad and his wife had kids together, and I have two half-siblings, 11 and 9. My sisters and my mom died when we were 11 and 9, and we went from every other week at each house to living full-time with a blended family. This got brought up when Dad found out me and my sister have a sibling tattoo designed that we both want to get once she's 18. He found the draw-up of the design in my sister's room and he was annoyed because it's just me and my sister. He called me up and told me he knew about the tattoo, and he didn't like that we were planning to get something like that. The reason he gave is we have more than one sibling, and doing this is like saying it's us against them, and drawing lines where there doesn't need to be any, and should be none. He said there is no difference in our family, and a sibling is a sibling. Then he lectured me on not feeling the same way. He knew this. We talked about it once when I was 14, and he lectured me on not being the same way with my steps and halves as I was with my sister. I told Dad it was none of his business if we get the tattoo or not, and that we're waiting until my sister's old enough and he can't stop us getting it. Dad said he'd be incredibly disappointed in the two of us if we go ahead with it and create a divide in the family we made. He told me this whole thing's wrong and going ahead is mean-spirited and only meant to hurt 5 people who love us and look up to us. Then he told me he's still our dad and saying it's none of his business is untrue for the reason of he's still our dad and because he wants us to make better choices. My sister and I talked about it afterwards and she had a similar talk with Dad. She wants to go ahead with our plan and so do I. Dad went looking for the design again and found it. He texted me last night saying he was so disappointed and I should reflect on what I'm doing because it makes me an a-hole to the steps and halves. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. I can't believe you're acting this way and how we want to honor our mom. It's very disappointing that you think you have the right to prevent us from doing something so thoughtful that we've talked about doing for the past 5 years. Losing mom was something I don't know if I will ever fully get over, since it was such an impressionable time in our lives. I can't believe you would draw such a line in the family over this, and claim it has anything to do with the other children who haven't lost their mother. There is a huge difference between sibling and I versus the other children. They all still have their mother. We don't. You trying to stop us is mean-spirited. I'm rather disappointed in you, Dad. Not the a-hole. This is a sweet tribute to each other, and none of dear old Dad's biz once you're 18. I'd be worried now that Dad has seen the tattoo. He's probably gotten photos and will tell the other siblings to get the same when they grow up, so that they can be blended. Enforced, that is. You. The tattoo includes my sister's name and mine, so unless they don't get their own names added, it would never be the exact same. Plus, we can still make small changes when we're closer to getting the tattoo done. That's even crazier. Why would your dad insist on you getting actual names of other people tattooed on you? That's wild. Stick with your original plan. Get your sister bond tattoo and let other people deal with their own feelings however they need to. Keep it between you and your sister. If your dad makes it a big deal for the entire family, he is the a-hole, not you, not your sister. Last story. Am I the a-hole for planning to break up with my girlfriend while my kids are at their mom's because I just want peace in my own damn house? I, 33 male, have 2 kids, 5 and 9, and have been in a relationship for about 3 years with a 29 female who now lives with us. It started off fine, fun, a little chaotic, but I've always had a soft spot for people who need fixing. Yes, that's on me, I know. Long story short, she moved in a year and a half ago. Since then, my home, the place I built as a safe, stable space for my kids, has become an emotional minefield. My girlfriend has regular episodes where small things, like my kid not saying hi fast enough, trigger huge guilt trips, shutdowns, or silent treatments. Every week feels like I'm defusing a bomb. When she's not spiraling, she's complaining about work, her weight, her family, my kid's mom, the weather, my face. I don't even know anymore. And when I try to set boundaries or just ask for space, I'm hit with, "I'm not respected here. You never consider my feelings." Or the classic, "After everything I do for this family?" Here's the kicker. She's not the kid's mom. Their actual mom, my ex, lives about an hour away and we co-parent. I do 95% of the parenting, financially support the house, and keep the emotional landscape steady so the kids have some sense of normalcy. Meanwhile, my girlfriend contributes about 20% of the rent, zero emotional regulation, and a constant cloud of resentment if things aren't about her. I'm emotionally tapped out. I've already envisioned paying her to leave, literally offering her a few $1,000s just to move out peacefully when the kids are with their mom. I don't hate her. I just want to go to bed without bracing for impact. I want my kids to live in a house that doesn't silently revolve around managing someone else's mood. Am I overreacting for planning a quiet, structured breakup during summer break so I can finally feel like myself again? A breakup during summer break sounds like the perfect plan. It's like spring cleaning but for your emotional well-being. Who knew that out with the old could also mean out with a chaotic girlfriend? For real, it's not even cold to do it during summer break. It's strategic. The house will be quiet, no kid stress. He can finally exhale without dodging a guilt trip every 6 minutes. Happiness in order. Kids then yours. If she's making your life harder than it is, then no. Also, very respectful and mature for you to do this while the kids are away. If it goes well, have a nice meal with your kids and let them know. I too used to be attracted to crazy, but I decided in my 50s I needed to do better. Ended an abusive marriage and finished raising my kid on my own. Kid is now grown and a productive adult. I took some years living on my own in order to break that cycle and met a wonderful gal several years ago. Sometimes I feel like pinching myself. She's so normal and sweet, and I finally have a real relationship in my 60s that I only dreamed of before. Mutual respect and being prioritized are wonderful to feel and have. I'll joke a wee bit about my girlfriend being the family leader, but it's true. I'm very good with people and have the gift of gab and decent oratory skills, but she could charm a snake. She gets things done, and the other wisecrack I make is that I want to be like her when I grow up.